Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Knights 101, where we discuss the basics about Seiya or Knights of the Zodiac. And today I won't be talking about a character or an item, but about the arcs that make up the Seiya series. Now, to give a little bit of an understanding, the original Seiya manga consists of 28 volumes, and the original Seiya anime from the 80s is made of 114 episodes. These 114 episodes only covered the first 18 volumes of the manga, and the final 10 volumes were only adapted in the early 2000s with what's called the Hades chapter. But before we get there, let's start in order, and the first arc of Seiya is the Galaxian Tournament arc. This is the arc where we meet for the first time Seiya and the rest of the main cast, Shiryu, Hyoga, Shon, and Sienna or Saori. This original initial Galaxian Wars arc is a classic tournament arc, so think about the Tenkaichi Budokai tournament in Dragon Ball, for example. So it's a very good introductory chapter so that we get to know the main characters as well as possible. Then, in the following arc, which is the Black Saints arc, the main cast comes together and they all fight against the threat of Phoenix Ikki. And you've seen a version of the Galaxian Tournament and the Black Saints in Knights of the Zodiac in the Netflix series, but they have both been heavily modified. Especially the Black Saints arc was originally much different, with the main 4 Black Knights being almost exact copycats of the main cast. Following the Black Knights arc, in the manga we enter straight into the Silver Saints arc, whereas the anime has a few fewer episodes, and this is because the production of the original anime started a very short time after the beginning of the manga, so very quickly the anime caught up with the manga and it needed to create extra episodes to keep up its weekly schedule and give Kurumada time to get ahead with the manga. But anyway, eventually the anime also enters the Silver Knights or Silver Saints arc, and this is part of the bigger arc that's the Sanctuary Saga, meaning that this is when we finally meet the Pope, the head of the Sanctuary, and we see that he's been sending assassins, Silver Knights, against the main cast. Now, you could say that everything from the beginning up to this point has actually all been part of the Sanctuary Saga, and that would be correct, because we actually met the Pope for the first time in the first chapter or episode. But the Silver Knights arc is when the threat of the Sanctuary really speeds up and the battles become much more threatening. In the original manga, the Silver Knights arc is actually quite short, all things considered, and it only takes place over a couple of days at most. The anime made a few changes and it lengthened the Silver Knights arc, making it last what looks like a few weeks at least. And the most famous and important event in this arc is Shiryu blinding himself and then having to leave the group for a short time. Eventually, the Silver Knights arc bleeds into the Gold Knights arc, and this is a natural progression. After the Silver Saints failed to kill Seiya and his friends, the Pope decided to send the Gold Saints. So we are first introduced to the Gold Saints, much like in the Netflix series, and what happens is that first we have a couple of encounters between the Gold Saints and the Bronze Saints, for example, Ryo Aoya versus Seiya, or Cancer Death Mask versus Shiryu in China, and then eventually this all develops into the 12 Palaces arc, which is what's currently happening in the Netflix series. And the 12 Palaces arc sort of completes the entire Sanctuary Saga, because once that's over, we get a complete change in tones and characters. So you could say that the entire Sanctuary Saga covers the first 13 volumes of the manga, and the first 73 episodes of the original anime. Now, at this point, anime and manga diverge because the original anime introduces a filler chapter, which is the Asgard saga. And the Asgard saga is a little bit of a prequel to the Poseidon saga, but once again, it was created to give Kurumada time to write and draw a few more chapters and get ahead with the manga. The Asgard saga runs up until episode 99 of the anime, and then with episode 100 we start the Poseidon saga, and the Poseidon saga begins in volume 14 of the manga. It runs from volume 14 to 18 and from episode 100 to 114. And as you can see in the anime, this was a much shorter saga. This is because the anime really increased its pace at this point and things start happening much more quickly. And there start to be very few changes between anime and manga at this point. Now, with episode 114 and with the end of the Poseidon saga, the original anime ended. And the reason for this are several, but essentially there was a loss in popularity, so Toei Animation decided to put it on hold and eventually give it some time before starting it again. Now, what Toei didn't expect was that some time would be about 20 years, but this is a story for another time. The manga, however, continued, and starting in volume 19, we begin the Hades saga. And the Hades saga, in turn, is divided into 3 chapters, which are called the Hades chapter, the Sanctuary chapter, the Inferno or Meikai chapter, and then the Elysian chapter. These 3 chapters, these 3 parts of the saga then altogether make up the Hades saga. The Hades saga is what ends the original manga, and manga-wise it all ended in 1990. However, the anime only adapted the Hades chapter in the early 2000s, and it split it into 4 series of episodes, 13 episodes from the Hades chapter, then 2 sets of 6 episodes for the Hades Inferno or Meikai, and final 6 episodes for the Hades Elysian chapter. So this concluded the adaptation, the original anime adaptation of the Kurumada's manga. At present, we have no idea whether the Netflix series will get this far. Interviews at the author and screenwriter have them hinting that they would like to eventually adapt the entire series and even progress with Seiya Next Dimension, which is a far more recent sequel / spin-off written and drawn by Kurumada and his assistants, chronicling what happens after the Hades saga. But we don't know whether this is really gonna happen or not. So to summarize the arcs of Seiya, first we have the Sanctuary saga, which is divided into the Galaxian Tournament arc, the Black Knights arc, the Silver Saint or Silver Knights arc, and the 12 Palaces arc. Then we have in the anime the Asgard saga, and then the Poseidon saga, and in the manga just the Poseidon saga. And then in both anime and manga we have the Hades saga, which is divided into Hades Sanctuary arc, Hades Inferno arc, and Hades Elysian arc. And these are the arcs that currently make up the original Seiya anime and manga. Have you ever read or watched any of the original episodes? Did you know anything about this? Have you read the manga? It has been published in English by Wits, so you can have access to the entire original series, at least in paper format, in English. As usual, write about it here in the comments, like the video, subscribe, that's what every YouTuber apparently has to say, hit the notification bell, share the video, and above all, keep watching and following the world of Seiya. This is all from me from now. See you next time. Bye.